The Qur'an tells a moment in history that changed everything, not because of armies, not because of nations, but because of something that happened between two sons of Adam, mentioned in Surah Al-Ma'idah and explained in classical tafsir, including the works of Ibn Kathir. If you value authentic accounts presented clearly, subscribe for more. After Adam and Hawa were sent to the earth, their children grew and spread. Among them were two brothers known in classical narrations as Habil and Qabil. The two brothers lived very different lives. According to the narrations mentioned in tafsir, Habil worked as a shepherd, caring for livestock and grazing animals. Qabil worked the land as a farmer, planting and harvesting crops. Though they were brothers, a test would soon come between them. Allah commanded both of them to present a sacrifice. Each brother was to bring something from what he owned and offer it sincerely for the sake of Allah. When the time came, Habil selected one of the finest animals from his flock. He chose something valuable, something he would have preferred to keep for himself. Qabil also brought an offering from his harvest. But according to the narrations mentioned by the scholars of tafsir, he did not bring the best of what he owned. He selected from lesser produce instead. Then both offerings were placed forward, and they waited. In those days, a sign would appear showing whether a sacrifice had been accepted. According to the well-known tafsir narrations, a fire descended and consumed the accepted offering. When the sign appeared, Habil's sacrifice was accepted. Qabil's was not. The test was over. But the real story was only beginning. At first, Qabil could not accept what had happened. He saw his brother's offering accepted while his own had been rejected. Instead of looking at his own actions, he began looking at his brother, and the feeling inside him began to grow. What started as disappointment slowly became jealousy. The more he thought about it, the worse it became. Until eventually, he said to his brother, "I will surely kill you." But Habil responded with calmness. He did not threaten him back. He did not insult him. Instead, he reminded him of the real reason behind what had happened. He said, "Allah only accepts from those who have taqwa." In other words, the problem was not with Allah's judgment. The problem was with the sincerity behind the offering. Then Habil said something remarkable. He told his brother that even if he stretched out his hand to kill him, he would not stretch out his own hand to kill him in return, because he feared Allah, the Lord of all worlds. But Qabil did not listen. The jealousy had already taken hold of him, and eventually it pushed him toward a decision no human being had ever made before. He killed his own brother. And with that act, the first murder in human history took place. For the first time, a human life had been taken by another human being. When it was over, Qabil stood before the body of his brother. But he did not know what to do. Humanity had never faced this situation before. There was no example to follow. No one had ever buried the dead. Then Allah sent a crow. The bird began scratching the earth and digging into the ground. Then it covered another dead crow. Qabil watched. And for the first time, he understood. The crow had shown him what to do with the body of his brother. At that moment, regret finally reached him. He said, "Woe to me! Am I unable to be like this crow and hide the body of my brother?" But by then, it was too late. The act had already been done. The brother he had envied was gone. And the first murder in human history had become a lesson for every generation that came after. This story did not begin with murder. It began with a sacrifice, then a rejection, then a feeling that was left unchecked. Because jealousy rarely arrives as something large. It begins small, but when it is fed and allowed to grow, it can lead a person further than they ever imagined. And that is why the Qur'an preserves this account for every generation that follows.